What would you do if your morning blood pressure reading came back as 128/80? Would you take your medication as usual, or skip it because the numbers look normal? I made that exact mistake once. My blood pressure in the morning looked fine, so I thought, maybe I don't need my meds today. That decision nearly sent me to the ER, just 2 days later. There's one critical truth that 90% of seniors with high blood pressure don't know. Controlled blood pressure doesn't mean cured. That reading is a result of ongoing treatment, not a sign you should stop. In this video, I'll walk you through 9 common morning mistakes that silently raise your blood pressure and sabotage your health, often without symptoms. I'll explain each one clearly, share my personal story, and bring in real doctors to help you understand what to avoid, and what to do instead. If you've ever hesitated to take your blood pressure medication, drop a comment saying, "I've done that." And if you want to lower blood pressure naturally and consistently, stay with me until the end. I'll be giving away a free blood pressure tracking PDF and walking you through how to use it step by step. By the way, mistake number 3 is something most people with silent hypertension make without even realizing it. Don't miss it. Have you ever felt genuinely proud of a full year of discipline? You took your blood pressure medication on time. You lowered your salt intake. You walked every morning. Your reading stayed stable. Your doctor nodded with satisfaction. And then, just one morning, you check your morning blood pressure, 128/80. It looks perfect. Everything feels under control. You stare at your pills. And quietly think to yourself, maybe I don't need them today. That moment, seemingly harmless, is exactly where so many people with high blood pressure after 60 unknowingly destroy months of progress. I've been there. And according to the American Heart Association, over 40% of patients have skipped their medication at least once just because their numbers looked good. But here's the truth. You're not cured. You're being managed. And that management is only possible because you're still on treatment. Dr. Paul Welton, co-chair of the 2017 ACC/AHA Hypertension Treatment Guidelines, warns, you can't evaluate blood pressure control based on a single reading. High blood pressure is a chronic condition that demands consistent, long-term management to protect the cardiovascular system. Dr. Welton is not just any physician. He's a leading figure in global hypertension research, chairing the world's largest clinical trials on blood pressure treatment, like SPRINT and ALLHAT. He currently serves as the Shou Chuan Chair in Global Public Health at Tulane University, USA. His words aren't theory. They're grounded in decades of data and the experience of tens of thousands of patients like you and me. So the next time your blood pressure looks normal, and you feel tempted to skip your meds, remember, you're doing well because the meds are working. Stopping them is like unbuckling your seatbelt because the road feels smooth. If you've ever thought that way, drop a comment saying I got complacent. I'll personally respond, because I know how easy it is to slip into that mindset. And stay with me, because the second mistake may seem healthy, but it can secretly block your medication from doing its job. Not everything that seems healthy is safe when you're over 60 and living with high blood pressure. It took me a while to learn that. When I first began treatment, I gave up coffee, quit alcohol, reduced salt, walked every day, and replaced it all with one good habit: drinking ginger tea every morning. I thought I was taking care of my heart. Until one morning, during a routine checkup, my doctor asked, "What do you drink when you wake up?" I replied proudly, "A cup of hot ginger tea. No sugar." He looked at me and said, "Well, that cup just cancelled out your morning blood pressure meds." That moment changed everything. Herbal teas like green tea, ginger tea, and mate may seem harmless, but they contain natural compounds that can temporarily raise blood pressure, stimulate the cardiovascular system, and even reduce how well your blood pressure medication is absorbed, especially if taken around the same time. Dr. Penny Chrysetherton, professor of nutrition at Penn State University and a leading advisor for the American Heart Association, has spent years studying how herbs and food interact with blood pressure control. In one of her talks, she noted, "Not all teas are safe for people with hypertension. Some, though natural, can interfere with medication or cause unexpected spikes or drops in blood pressure. And it's not just stimulating teas. Even teas praised for lowering blood pressure, like hibiscus, horsetail, or artichoke, can become dangerous when combined with meds. They may over-enhance the diuretic effect, leading to dizziness, fainting, or hypotension, especially in seniors. I'm not saying you should stop drinking tea. But I am saying this. Tea is not just flavored water. If you're managing high blood pressure after 60, every ingredient matters. If you've been drinking herbal teas without ever asking your doctor how they might affect your treatment, leave a comment saying I thought tea was safe. And keep watching, because mistake number 3 is even more dangerous, precisely because it hides behind one deadly illusion: feeling fine. I used to believe I was perfectly healthy. No headaches. No dizziness. No chest pain. Every morning, I got up early, drank tea, ate breakfast, and took walks. So when my doctor looked at me and said, "Your blood pressure is high," I laughed and said, "Really? I feel fine." And that was mistake number 3. Believing that no symptoms means no problem. Silent hypertension, it lives up to its name. No noise. No warning. No clear symptoms. Just steady, invisible damage to your heart, kidneys, and eyes, day after day. Dr. Sheldon Sheps, senior hypertension specialist at the Mayo Clinic with over 40 years in clinical practice and research, once said, "Feeling well doesn't always mean being well. High blood pressure often has no symptoms, until the damage is already done." And he's right. Many patients who arrive at the ER with mini-strokes or early-stage heart failure say the same thing. "I felt fine." But blood pressure doesn't have to hurt to harm you. It eats away at your arteries like a slow leak behind your walls, quiet, invisible, until one day the whole structure crumbles. It took me nearly 2 years to learn that lesson. I kept feeling fine, even as my blood pressure readings crept up past 160 without me noticing. So if you feel okay right now, I'm glad for you. But don't let feeling okay become the excuse to ignore your blood pressure treatment. If you've ever said, "I feel fine, so I must be fine," leave a comment saying I feel okay. And keep watching, because mistake number 4 reveals how common over-the-counter drugs can skyrocket your blood pressure in just a few days. One afternoon, I had a dull headache that just wouldn't go away. I walked to the nearest pharmacy, grabbed a pack of ibuprofen, and took it, no prescription, no questions. Just the need for relief. And it worked. The headache eased. But the next morning, my blood pressure shot up to 172/98. My heart was pounding, my face flushed, and a strange pressure sat in my chest all morning. That's when I learned the hard truth. A small headache can lead to a big heart problem, if you take the wrong medication. Most people think of painkillers as safe. Over the counter. No big deal. But for people over 60 with high blood pressure, here's what few realize. Common anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs like ibuprofen, naproxen, and diclofenac, can raise your blood pressure in just a few days. Dr. Suzanne Opperl, professor of medicine at the University of Alabama and former president of the American Hypertension Society, has led several studies warning about this. At an AHA medical conference, she stated, "NSAIDs can reduce the effectiveness of antihypertensive drugs, cause fluid retention, and increase vascular resistance, especially dangerous in older adults. I had no idea that a tiny pill could have such a massive effect on my blood pressure. And I know I'm not alone. If you're on blood pressure treatment and still reaching for painkillers whenever your knees ache or your shoulders hurt, this risk is building up silently. You don't need to throw everything out. But you do need to ask your doctor before taking any medication. Because protecting your blood pressure isn't just about what meds you take, it's also about what interferes with them. If you've ever taken pain relievers without a prescription, drop a comment saying I thought painkillers were safe. And in the next mistake, you'll discover how even your breakfast might be secretly raising your blood pressure before your day even begins. Have you ever noticed this? Sometimes, we make a critical mistake just minutes after waking up. Not by checking our phones. Not by skipping exercise. But with breakfast. A slice of salty cheese. A few strips of processed meat. A dab of mayonnaise, a couple of olives, maybe a toasted bacon sandwich. Sound familiar? That was my daily breakfast for years. I thought it was light, quick, and balanced. Until one day, my doctor looked at me and said, "You're getting nearly 3 grams of salt within 30 minutes of waking up." For anyone over 60 with high blood pressure, this is a dangerous mistake. Starting the day with a high-sodium breakfast, when morning blood pressure is already naturally elevated. According to the CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the daily salt limit should be under 5 grams, that's 2 grams of sodium. But like many others, I was already blowing past that limit, just with breakfast. Here's what most people forget. You don't need to add salt. Processed foods have already done that for you. Hard cheeses, sausages, deli meats, industrial bread, spreads, condiments, these are all hidden salt bombs. I used to say, but I don't eat that much. Turns out, it's not about eating more, it's about eating wrong. If you've never checked the nutrition label on what you eat in the morning, chances are, you're making the same mistake. And if you want to lower your blood pressure naturally, you need to start with the first plate of the day. Drop a comment saying I never thought about breakfast if, like me, you used to grab food quickly and unknowingly sabotage your entire treatment plan. Next up, we'll talk about a nighttime danger, how sleep deprivation, or even sleep apnea, can quietly push your blood pressure higher while you rest. Have you ever woken up at 3 a.m. feeling off? Your body feels heavy, your head feels foggy, and your heart beats harder than usual. You try to go back to sleep, but you're restless. And in the morning, you don't feel like yourself. I used to blame it on age. On dreams. On the weather. Until I discovered the silent factor sabotaging my blood pressure treatment. Poor sleep, and worse, sleep apnea. Most people don't realize how much sleep affects blood pressure. But it's during sleep that your body repairs itself, regulates your nervous system, and relaxes your arteries. If you sleep less than 6 hours a night, or your sleep is broken, your sympathetic nervous system stays overactive, causing your morning blood pressure to spike. Even more dangerous is a condition called obstructive sleep apnea, OSA. You fall asleep, but your breathing repeatedly stops. Oxygen drops. Heart rhythm goes wild. Blood pressure surges, and you don't even know it. Dr. Atul Malhotra, a leading pulmonary and sleep medicine specialist at UC San Diego, published a study in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology showing that untreated sleep apnea is one of the leading causes of resistant hypertension, especially in people over 60. I used to think sleeping less was just part of aging. But I've come to realize that every short, broken night was a night my blood pressure silently climbed. If you sleep less than 6 hours, or if your partner has ever said you snore and choke at night, get it checked. Sometimes we can't control our high blood pressure, not because our meds aren't working, but because our sleep is working against them. If you've ever underestimated the power of sleep, leave a comment saying I thought sleep didn't matter. And in the next mistake, you'll discover why your underlying health conditions may be driving your hypertension, and even your doctor could be missing it. If your blood pressure spikes randomly, even with a healthy lifestyle, picture yourself in a mystery case. You've got the symptoms. You've got the numbers. But you still don't know who, or what, is behind it. And sometimes, guessing wrong is exactly why the meds don't work. One of the most overlooked mistakes in seniors with high blood pressure after 60 is this: they treat the symptoms, but never investigate the root cause. Maybe your thyroid is overactive, pushing your heart rate and pressure up. Or perhaps it's the opposite, hypothyroidism, silently stiffening arteries and elevating your baseline pressure. Maybe your cortisol levels are high, triggered by chronic stress or adrenal imbalance. Or you may be living with secondary hypertension, caused by things like corticosteroids, birth control, or a hidden adrenal tumor. Dr. N. Coppola, an endocrinologist at the University of Pennsylvania, has studied thousands of such cases. In a 2022 keynote, she said, "Patients are often prescribed 2 or 3 blood pressure medications, yet nothing changes, because no one has explored potential endocrine causes. I was one of those patients. My numbers were high. I took my meds. Still no improvement. Not until I requested thyroid tests and a morning cortisol check did the fog begin to clear. I'm not telling you to run every test in the book. I'm saying, if you've been on meds long enough, taken them regularly, and your blood pressure still won't stabilize, ask your doctor directly. Could this be secondary hypertension? Because if you don't ask, your doctor might not look. And if this resonates with you, comment below, I want to know the real reason. Because in the next segment, we'll cover the habit that misleads even the best doctors, and how a wrong reading can be the difference between life and death. If I asked you a simple question: what was your blood pressure this morning, or even last Thursday? Could you answer without hesitation? Most older adults say something vague like, well, I felt a little dizzy that day, so maybe it was high, but I'm not really sure. That's the silent danger of not tracking your blood pressure daily, especially in the morning, when morning hypertension and stroke risk are at their peak. Dr. Naomi Fisher, director of the hypertension service at Brigham and Women's Hospital, a teaching affiliate of Harvard Medical School, once said during an American Heart Association seminar, "When we don't have consistent data, we're treating in the dark." Daily blood pressure logs turn patients into partners, not just pill takers. I remember when I was 71, my doctor asked me, "Harold, has your morning blood pressure been stable over the past 2 weeks?" I smiled nervously and measured it right there. That day's reading was 135/88, seemed okay. But then she pulled out my blood pressure tracker, filled with daily entries. 125/82, 142/90, 138/85, 129/80. She looked me in the eye and said, "If I only looked at today's reading, I would reduce your dosage. But across the board, your BP is dangerously fluctuating. We stay the course." That was the moment I truly understood. Tracking equals clarity. Not tracking equals guessing based on feelings. If you're serious about stroke prevention and managing high blood pressure in the morning, print a simple log sheet. I've already created a free PDF called Blood Pressure Tracker. It's easy to fill out and takes just 30 seconds a day. The download link is pinned in the top comment below. And if you've ever measured your blood pressure but didn't write it down, leave a comment. I'll start tracking from tomorrow. I'll personally reply to every comment. Coming up next, the final mistake that nearly triggered an irregular heartbeat in me, all because of one seemingly harmless morning habit. Have you ever wondered why some mornings, your usual cup of coffee makes you feel energized, while on other days, your heart races, and you feel uneasy for hours? It's not bad coffee. It's your blood pressure reacting to caffeine, especially in the morning, when your body is most sensitive to stimulants. I used to ignore the signs. At 6 a.m., I'd brew a strong black coffee and sip it while reading the paper. I thought, coffee keeps me sharp. Nothing wrong with that. But by 8:45 a.m., during a meeting, my heart was pounding. I checked my morning blood pressure, 162/94. I brushed it off as just a temporary reaction. But when it happened again and again, I knew it was time to investigate. Dr. Penny Chrysetherton, a world-renowned cardiovascular nutrition expert at Penn State University, who has contributed to over 200 studies on the impact of food on heart health, once said, "Caffeine isn't harmful to everyone. But in adults over 60, especially those with high blood pressure or heart issues, even just 2 cups of morning coffee can trigger a significant blood pressure spike, lasting 3 to 5 hours. Worse, if you drink coffee on an empty stomach or combine it with blood pressure medication, caffeine can cause heart rhythm disturbances and reduce the effectiveness of your meds. So what's the fix? I didn't give up coffee. I just learned to respect my body's limits. I drink coffee after breakfast, never more than a cup and a half. I switched to low-caffeine blends or calming herbal teas. And I track my reactions using a morning blood pressure log. If you drink 2 to 3 cups of coffee every morning and notice your heart racing or blood pressure rising, try cutting back gradually. Your body will thank you. Have you ever felt strange after your morning brew? Comment, "Time to rebalance my coffee," below and I'll share some tips to help you adjust safely. Up next, I'll summarize the 9 dangerous morning habits that once made my blood pressure spiral out of control, and share 3 simple steps that helped me stabilize it for the past 4 years, no more stroke scares since. Have you ever looked back and asked yourself, I take my meds on time, I eat a decent breakfast, so why does my blood pressure still spike out of nowhere? I used to ask the same thing. It wasn't until a near-stroke warning that I finally took a closer look at my daily morning habits, the little things that seemed harmless but were quietly damaging my arteries, day after day. From drinking coffee on an empty stomach, to sleeping less than 6 hours, to skipping my blood pressure log, even convincing myself that, if my readings look normal, I can skip the meds today, these were all mistakes I paid for, slowly but surely. Here's the truth. High blood pressure isn't just about a 140/90 reading. It's about a chain of small choices we repeat every single morning. Today, we've walked through the top 9 morning mistakes that increase your risk of hypertension, heart attack, and stroke, especially after age 60. And if there's one lesson I've learned the hard way, it's this. Blood pressure control doesn't start with a pill. It starts with the way you live, every morning, on repeat. What's next for you? 1. Download the Blood Pressure Tracker, PDF, the same one I use every day to stay on track. The link is pinned below this video. 2. Join our Facebook community, Healthy Hearts After 60, a safe space where thousands of seniors support each other in managing hypertension naturally. 3. Watch the next video, 5 mistakes you're making when measuring blood pressure at home, and how to fix them. It's showing on your screen now.